All right, welcome everybody to the OpenJS Foundation board meeting for April 22nd, 2022. I would like to call our public session of the board meeting to order. This is Todd Moore, your chairman. Go ahead, Brian, please pick it up.
Okay, great. Thanks. Welcome everybody. So on the screen, we have our agenda for today. We will begin as we usually do with approving the meeting minutes. We'll go through an update on the certification program, JavaScript Landia. Let's have some updates on what's happening on the CPC, as well as the standards working group. Some project updates, and then a marketing update, and then an update on the upcoming event, OpenJS World. Does anybody have anything they'd like to add to the agenda? All right, let's get rolling. So first up, we have a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the March 25th meeting. I'd like to give a big thanks to Jory, who captured the meeting minutes in the last meeting in my absence. So thank you so much, Jory. Would somebody like to make a motion to adopt the minutes from March 25th, 2022?
Motion to approve.
Thank you, Todd. Do we have a second?
Second.
Great. Thank you so much, Alex. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Do we have any opposed? Any abstains? Okay, thank you. Meeting minutes are adopted. Okay, moving forward, the OpenJS Foundation board directory. Robin, would you like to give a quick update on the, I guess, not change?
Yeah, well, we had an election with the Cross Project Council for their representative for the CPC, and Sarah Chips was reelected. So congratulations, Sarah. We're super excited that you're returning for another year.
Great. Okay, moving on, certification update. Robin, want to take us through this?
Yeah, hopefully you all, or some of you, were able to take advantage of our sales. We had a couple of sales over the past month. We had Cyber Monday in April, but I'm starting to see those certification wins kind of pass through our desk, so that's pretty exciting to see. But we're also sort of taking a close look at those pass rates and doing some deep analysis on those. And we're finding for folks, I think I've mentioned this before, if you have low bandwidth, you may end up timing out on a question, and folks don't always know that you can get some extra time added, but in the meantime, we're replatforming the testing tool to give you more time. Still working with the Apache project Guacamole for some international keyboard adaptations. So that'll be easier, for example, copy paste shortcuts and things like that. And then we've just, or the team has just opened up a sandbox for the Node 18 update. So you'll see that update roll out in the certification probably late October, early November. And just so you know that training that we have that accompanies it, we have free and paid that keeps up with all of the new versions. We have a very special offering at OpenJS World. Day 0, which is Monday, June 6th, Matteo Colina from Nearform is going to be doing a training at a bargain, $75. And so if you come to the event, I really highly encourage, if you love Node, to take that full day training with Matteo. And we'll have discounts for folks who are interested in taking the certification if you've taken that training as well. Any questions? JavaScript Landia updates. This program continues to grow, and what we're excited about is we have the opportunity to meet some of the JavaScript Landians. I think some of them are old friends, but we'll get a chance to meet in Austin. And Jory, I'm going to let you share some of the cool things that they get to do at the event.
Yeah, we're excited to have a couple of JS Landia only perks at the event. We've got a special gift, which is going to be a water bottle for you. If you're at the event, you can come pick it up from us. Else we'll be sending a code for you to get that sent to your house. We also have patches and stickers and all that kind of fun goodies. And we're also trying to organize a special meet and greet with Dr. Hermans, who's one of our awesome keynote keynote speakers on day 2. She's written a fabulous book, and you can check it out and get to ask her questions following her keynote. And yeah, so we've got some other things that we're doing with the program. You may have, if you're a member, you may have noticed last Friday you got a newsletter with a special discount code for 10% off your OpenJS World attendance. We've got the awards program nomination form open that we would really love your input on, and thank you to the several people who've been nominating people so far. We're going to have lots of great people to choose from, I think. So this is a growing program, and we just want to thank everybody for their support so far. We look forward to really expanding this more for you in the next year.
Awesome. I love how people can download their favorite project badge too. Cool. Oh, and there's our awards program. So again, deadline, Jory, I think should be this today, right? No, next week.
No, next Friday.
Next Friday, yeah. 4/29. There it is right there. Yeah, a number of categories. We have the honor of awarding these folks if they're in Austin at OpenJS World. They'll get that to come up on stage during the keynotes and receive those awards. So excited for that. And I think Jory has kind of spammed our Slack channels for emails. So if you're on Slack and you can't find this link right here, go to our Slack, general, JavaScript, Landia, all kinds of places, CPC, standards, get your nominations in, please. CPC update, Sarah Chips and Michael Dawson are out today, so Jory is offered to fill in for them.
So not just a ton, to report in that we didn't have any governance changes or anything like that, charter changes, that kind of thing. So we can move on to the next slide. No major project related updates. We do have project news, of course, that we share in a different section, but no changes reported from the projects. We do have a couple of collaboration spaces that are under discussion. One in particular focused on security, which is absolutely the topic du jour. So that's that. If you're interested in getting involved, please pop into Slack and say hi and let us know, because we'd love to have you. If you want to move to the next slide, Brian. We continue to have working sessions, which are, of course, open to our community as well. If you're interested in helping us move a specific program forward, like JavaScript Landia, for example, or just helping to make the experience of being an OpenJS community member better, we'd love to have you. We're obviously working a lot on the awards and the community fund, which is in part funding the awards program. So you are welcome to go get involved either in the GitHub issue or again come to a working session, and any feedback as well on how we can make our documentation more discoverable for you and more easy to understand is warmly welcome. Those are sort of focus areas from a housekeeping perspective that we would like to do. And I think that is largely it. Everyone's very excited for the conference, and big thanks to the programming committee and the folks on the CPC who've been very involved with that. So that's it.
Okay, moving on to the standards working group.
Yeah, we, I don't know if you want to take that. We have a couple of updates, but we have mentioned previously in the past about our workshop that's happening at OpenJS World with Jordan Harban, who's on our board. Hey, Jordan, and Heymanth. And it's based partially on a Read Specs with Us program that Heymanth puts together. Jordan, do you want to give any more color?
Yeah, we're basically just going to talk about a few different parts of the spec and try and have attendees leave with a better understanding of how to read it themselves and how to understand the way that the JavaScript stuff they're familiar with is specified to work.
Great. And they have an hour with you, which is cool.
Right.
And Jory's working on a couple of other pieces. You want to share that?
Yeah, so in our OpenJS World event, we do have functionally almost a whole track filled out practically of standards focused talks. So again, we want this web standards space to be a place where developers feel comfortable going and learning and getting involved. And so here there are going to be several talks at OpenJS World that I think will be very interesting to those of you who are looking to learn more about how that sausage gets made. And we have also invited the standards working group to do a panel in our community theater space. So please feel free to come and say hello and meet Emily and Jordan and Christian and lots of other folks who've been very supportive in the working group. We're also going to have some representatives from TC53 and TC39 at OpenJS World. TC39 was also meeting that week, so that will be a little bit difficult, but we're happy to have some folks there who would be very, very excited to talk with you if you're interested in getting involved. And TC53 is planning to do a demo in the community space on their new specs, which were approved this year. So next slide, Brian, I think on standards. So one thing that we do in our community group, in our working group, is really help community members who are looking at doing a specification project or potentially starting community groups or, just engaging in some way, shape, or form with a standards body connected to their open source project. We get requests for advice or feedback and that sort of thing from time to time. And I just wanted to let the community know, remind the community that we're here to help and support, and we will be doing more of that in the next couple of sessions. So if that's on your mind, just come join us on our Tuesday calls. We'd be very happy to hear from you and work with you. And I think that's it for standards this week or this month.
Great, thanks. And whenever we think we don't have a full agenda, we end up having a very full agenda, the standards working group. Somewhat. All right.
Okay, moving on to the project updates.
Yeah, these look like fewer bullet points, but they are big bullet points. Wow. Yeah, Node.js was announced as the first project for the Open Source Security Foundation, Project Alpha. Project Alpha looks at big projects, Project Alpha Omega. Omega is looking at the long tail, so everybody can benefit from some tooling and resources. But I think we're going to have a lot of best practices that we're going to learn from, in addition to some direct resources for the Node.js project. We blogged about it on Monday this week, $300,000 investment. Thanks to Microsoft and Google for that Project Alpha and Omega boost, but really the industry who put in that, gosh, $10 million, is that right, Jordan and Todd, for security across open source. So super important, and really looking forward to working on that project. And I know that the team is very grateful and already looking at some metrics that they can do in addition just to starting to fix it's kind of a backlog of bugs in real time. So that's exciting. Node 18 was released on Tuesday. So a big release, security fetch, and taking direction from the Next 10 strategic initiative. I'm going to send out a coverage report to you all this afternoon, but we had some really nice news coverage where it was great to see Bethany Griggs at Red Hat, sort of the top spokesperson, describe the project, as well as some other great folks from across the industry who kind of championed some of these big features. So we had some great coverage on that. Fastify had a big release candidate, Fastify 4, with some great improvements with hopefully very few breaking changes. Electron 18 shipped with some upgrades as well. And ESLint, we know they ship frequently. Great place if you want to contribute. They had a version 8.12 release as well as a secondary security release. So that's it for the project highlights.
Okay, any questions?
No, congratulations on securing the Open SSF funding. That's great news, and I think securing our JavaScript infrastructure is really important. So cool.
Absolutely.
Okay, moving on to the marketing update. So Alex, I'll turn this over to you.
Okay, thanks. So this slide is just kind of recapping some of the emails that we've been sending for OpenJS World promotions, and the open rates are looking good. They're well above industry average. And since we've been adding to the agenda, updating with like new breakout speakers and a couple of new keynotes, we'll continue to send emails that promote the updated programming as well as add-on programming like the day zero trainings. Next slide. Yep, so we talked about the OpenSSF selecting Node.js as a pilot project for Alpha Omega. That announcement did really well as soon as it went out, gaining over 40,000 impressions. This screenshot was taken within a day of that announcement. So next slide. And generally, things are as usual on Twitter in terms of impressions. We did have a surge in impressions when I took these the screenshots of these metrics, most likely due to the Project Alpha announcement as well as Node.js 18. So slightly down in terms of visits, but everything else is to be expected. Next slide, please. And these are some late March tweets that weren't captured in the last board meeting. So if anyone is curious as to the kinds of posts that do well, a lot of these are also OpenJS World posts. And next slide. And this is just another way of looking at our 3-month summary. For April, this was pulled, roughly mid-month. So I would say in terms of prorating the trend will probably be about as usual. And actually, we did surpass these total impressions at this point. So this was as of the 18th. And next slide. Here is another kind of comparison month over month for Twitter that we pull from HubSpot versus the other metrics taken directly from Twitter Analytics. So yeah, everything is generally the same. Our audience has grown slightly. We did publish more posts in the last 28 days. Shares interactions are slightly down, but we have a strong number of people clicking through. If this is to something like OpenJS World, that's really the action that we want. Unfortunately, registrations aren't where we want them to be, as we've kind of touched on earlier, but we'll continue to promote the event. And next slide. So there were some reporting bugs also between LinkedIn and HubSpot. So I pulled these direct posts from LinkedIn. They went out on LinkedIn over the last month so that you can see there are, there's 4 posts here. If you go to the next slide, LinkedIn shows that there was only one, or actually several posts. Yeah, here's an additional 5 posts. And then I think on the next slide, there's a screenshot where, yeah, at the bottom for the period selected, LinkedIn is only pulling in 1 post. I just wanted to show everybody that we're much more active. We didn't just post once to LinkedIn. And I think that error has since been fixed. I talked to someone in the LF about it, and we can continue. So here's the OpenJS YouTube stats, slowly but steadily growing in subscribers. And our watch time is up. And we can go on. We didn't have any percentage of women or women identified viewers this period, which is something that I like to track. But I also included stats for the Node.js YouTube, and they have much more activity than the OpenJS Foundation itself. So we can look at that in a minute. Next slide. So here's Node.js. So their numbers are a lot higher. They have a larger audience than the OpenJS Foundation, and they gained over 300 subscribers in the last month. And you can see on the right the top performing videos for this period. So it looks like something about Node not being single threaded. I don't know if that ties into the Wix guest blog that we published, but it did touch on multi-threading in Node also. And next slide. So you can see the total audience size and a small percentage of women identified viewers. Next slide. These are some of the recent blogs that went out in March and April. And so at the bottom left, the Wix OpenJS in Action, that was the guest blog I was referring to. It's pretty interesting. They talk about worker threads in Node. And we had planned on having the LF release a blog on the Peace Parks Foundation today, how JavaScript is saving rhinos. But we're still trying to coordinate that. It was originally an interview that Robin and another person from the LF conducted with Herman Standard from the Peace Parks Foundation. And so the timing would have been perfect. I don't know if we'll get his final approval in time for it to go out today, which would be Earth Day. But hopefully that will go out soon. It's really interesting work that they're doing using Node-RED. And we're also going to announce Loopback's graduation to at-large status next week. And of course, we've captured the Node.js version release, OpenSSF, and there was a case study that went out this week. Robin, did you have a question? Okay, next slide. Here are some website metrics, just looking at things month over month. And again, number 4 on the top pages list is that Wix guest blog. If any member companies would like to approach us with an interesting topic, we'd be happy to feature it on our blog. This kind of content does really well. Next slide. So just another way of kind of thinking about our metrics, our total visitors and sessions are up. The bounce rate is very, very high. So I kind of have some theories about why this is. I think that our website might be in need of some updating. But for now, we kind of just have to work with what we have. Next slide. And this is our traffic, referral traffic broken down by social networks. So it's not surprising that Twitter and LinkedIn are the top 2. I'm a little bit curious about what is happening on Facebook that's driving people to us. That's interesting, not something that I would expect. And then YouTube being number 5 is pretty much reflected by our activity on that channel. And next slide.
Just a quick question, does Node.js have a Facebook page, or did they use that? Jordan, maybe you know?
Not that I'm aware of. They might, but
Yeah, so Reddit, YouTube, those make sense to me. I'm really not sure what's going on Facebook, but it would be interesting to find out. But yeah, that's it for the marketing update, I think. Or wait, did I have events in there, or did we might have? Oh yeah, we can look at the event branding, sorry. If you go to the next slide, we've kind of gone over this a few times, but it's just a reminder, this is the design that we'll be using at OpenJS World for our t-shirts. And we have some stickers also. Next slide. Yeah. So if we go to the next slide, we have some of our keynote speakers that have been confirmed so far. I think this list is still being updated. There are a couple of to be announced keynote presentations.
Yeah, I think we have a couple from sponsors, but it's filled in quite well. So I think it's a superstar list. And thanks our program committee, Dan Kuzno's on our board. He's been very active. Thank you, Dan, and everybody working so hard, meeting weekly on this. So, and thank you for all these folks for saying yes.
Right. And on the next slide, we have our pricing, our in-person rates. So early bird pricing ended on April 15th. Regular pricing will end on May 21st. So there will be some communications going out about that to drive people to register before late pricing kicks in. Slides 72 and 73, I think are, everyone should have seen these by now. It's our co-branded banner with CDCon and a note about the mask mandate and health and safety. I think there's also, this is still in flux. We're kind of like monitoring the situation and what people are comfortable with. And Robin,
we haven't really completely made a call yet. I know we're looking at policies here. We're looking up international policies. So again, the decision hasn't completely been made on masks. The vaccine requirement will definitely still be there, as well as the daily temperature checks, social distancing, and others.
Yeah, and then we'll have some, we're probably going to have indications on people's badges of what their comfort zone is, what their comfort level is. As far as like fist bumps or being willing to talk to people they know or don't know. And then I think there are still some sponsorships available, but Robin, do you have any updates?
We are, and we're looking at mid-May to really lock those down, just so we can get that, the booths all laid out on the floor and all the spacing sorted out. So yeah, if you're interested, please reach out to me directly. I may have reached out to you, check your inbox, as well as some folks maybe from the LF events team, but would really love to have you there. It's going to be a great event.
Okay, and I think that brings us to the end. This is just a work back to the event.
Kind of tracking. It's coming up fast. I think, who is it? What did you tweet? It was 6 weeks away. That was kind of scary. Exciting,
yeah, we're at 6 weeks.
I know. Oh, but hitting the deadlines. Great. And we do have our schedule up. We have we're having 2 tracks in addition to keynotes. We're having a virtual track, and we will have a theater space track, which will be a lot of the project maintainers, as well as some sort of topical areas. Jory mentioned standards. We'll have some security folks and others. So if you're a project maintainer out there with us, take a look at some of the mails perhaps that Jory sent out on CPC comms. You're welcome to come book with us, and then you'll be up on that schedule. I think that may be a wrap on this. Brian, you want to click one more? I think that's it.
Well, thank you to the staff again for pulling this together. And it's a lot of great news in here. Some really good work. Thank you all.
A lot of great work from all of you, all as well. I see pieces of your work throughout the board, so thanks.
Yeah, thank you. Well, if there's any other topics, we can entertain them now. If not, we'll call the board meeting to a close.
Great. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you all.
Thanks all. Thank you.
Everybody.
Bye.